the smartest student I've ever taught failed every class he was in. His name is Marcus, and he was 14 years old when I met him. He had ADHD and dyslexia, and 3 different teachers had told him coding wasn't for him. The first day I worked with him, he said, "Mo, I'm not a coding person." What Marcus did love was basketball. He played every day after school with his best friend. So I asked him, "Marcus, if you could build anything you want on this computer, what would you build?" He thought, and then he responded, "A game, something I could play with my friend." And 6 weeks later, that's exactly what he did. He built a simple 2-player basketball game. He showed it to the same class where he would sit quietly in the back. And what changed wasn't Marcus. What changed was what I was measuring. And what Marcus showed me would eventually make me question everything about intelligence. That when a student fails, it tells us something about their true potential. And you may have heard the headlines: tech layoffs happening everywhere, computer science grads can't find an internship, AI is writing code now, maybe better than those who spent 4 years learning how to code. And for a decade, we said that tech had a talent shortage. Now we say there's too many programmers. Both can't be true. So which is it? I think it's neither. See, I don't think we have a numbers problem. I think we have a definition problem. And we decided decades ago what a good at coding meant. And we built schools, tests, these hiring pipelines that match that definition. Then we built a chatbot that does that exact thing. And we're surprised that people we trained look replaceable. So I started a nonprofit called Code Can Bridge. And we basically teach students with learning differences how to code. And 1 in 5 children in the US actually have a learning or attention difference, such as ADHD or dyslexia. Unfortunately, these are the kids that most schools often overlook when it comes to tech education. And I wasn't trying to prove a point. I just wanted to help kids like Marcus. But what I found in that classroom changed, again, how I think about intelligence. So let me show you what I mean. This is the test we've been giving. Look at what the code looks like. It holds abstract symbols and rules, very strict rules with a specific order and sequence, producing exact output for exact input. That is not creativity. That's not insight. That's not even thinking, really. That's something a computer does. It mimics it, memorizes it. And what we built was a test that measured how well a human can behave like a machine. We called the humans who passed it smart, and the humans who failed it behind or deficient. We sent the smart ones to college, we sent the deficient ones to remedial classes. And then in 2026, we built an AI chatbot, a machine that does this better than any human ever will. It's getting better and better every day. So it forces a question that we've spent 4 decades not asking. So if a machine can pass our test for intelligence, what exactly are we measuring? And so I ran this experiment. I took the same problem you guys just saw, that complicated code, and I essentially turned it into something called block coding. Pretty simple. The logic was identical. The reasoning was identical. The skills required to solve this problem were identical. The only thing that I changed was that the syntax went away, that whole noise, the chaos. And what I expected was that, obviously my students would do a little bit better. That removing all that noise would let them focus on the actual problem. But that isn't what happened. What happened is so unexpected that it made me question everything, again, that I thought about intelligence. I noticed something that I just was not expecting at all. These students, the ones who've been told their brains didn't work for this, that they didn't catch up, they were doing something else entirely. The kids who couldn't follow linear instructions could see the entire problem at once. They'd spot the error, the bug, 3 steps before the so-called smart students who notice it. The kids whose minds wandered would jump between problems and find connections nobody else saw. The kids who couldn't memorize that language, that complicated noise, built the most creative solutions. Because they couldn't rely on memorization, so they had to actually understand it, right? And they weren't bad at the initial test. They were good at the thing the test was not measuring. That was the realization that broke something open for me. For decades, we called these kids behind or deficient because they couldn't mimic that machine. We called the other kids smart because they could. But what we call intelligence wasn't intelligence. It was the ability to follow instructions a computer could follow. The kids we filtered out weren't behind. They were thinking in a way the test just could not see. And then when the machines, the chatbots arrived, like ChatGPT, Claude, you may have heard Copilot, whatever, every AI that can write that kind of clean, syntactic, rule-following code we used to call talent, it's now here, and it's just getting better. And in 2026, the people who match that old definition of good at coding are watching their jobs get automated, like me, really. I'm a computer science major. But not because they're bad at what they do, but because they do exactly what the machines were always going to be best at. Meanwhile, the kids the ones who can't think in straight lines, the ones whose minds wander and can jump and see whole problems at once, those are the kind of minds that AI can't replicate, because it's not because the AI we built is wrong, but because we built AI from the wrong template. We trained AI on the kind of thinking we taught people to do, that memorization, and we didn't train it on the kind of thinking that we taught people to suppress. So here's the question I want you to leave with. All this time, we told the millions of them, millions of kids, the 1 in 5, that their brains didn't work for technology. But we were wrong. Their brains were the part technology can't replace. So what other gifts have we been calling deficiencies? What other ways of thinking have we filtered out because they didn't match that test of memorization? What if everything we called not smart enough, the daydreamers, the rule breakers, the kids who can't sit still, and the ones who think sideways and creatively, what if they're the ones who are never falling behind? And what if they're the ones that we actually need right now? And a few months after Marcus built that game, that basketball game, he sent me a message. He told me he just signed up for AP Computer Science, which I know there's a lot of high schoolers here. That's one of the most advanced computer science classes you can take in high school. And that's it. That's just the message from the kid who told me he wasn't a code person. He didn't believe in himself. And what he wrote underneath that message is the line I want you to leave with. He said he's not afraid anymore, that he just had to find the way that works for his brain, the way that works for Marcus's brain, the way that wasn't sequential, that wasn't memorization, it wasn't a copy of a machine, it wasn't AI, that wasn't a workaround. That right there is the future, and Marcus was absolutely not the exception. He was the warning. There are millions like him sitting in classrooms right now being told that they're going to fall behind, they're the wrong kind of mind, they're going to stay back and have these shortcomings ahead of them, but they're not the wrong kind of mind. They're the kind of minds we need now as AI is progressing and becoming more advanced. They're the kind of mind that if we keep looking past them, we will lose the people who could build what comes next. Thank you so much. Thank you.